Looks like Diane fell out of her chair. Oh, no. I see. It's Tim.
What, are you ripping on me when I'm muted?
No, I just saw an empty screen and it said you had come up, but it was actually Tim who was missing. So I'm going to have a hard time getting through a board meeting without my Hershey chocolate that I always steal from you.
I thought about delivering some, but I ran out of time.
Yeah. The COVID Express. Yeah.
Julie, I'm not sure is going to make it. I haven't heard from Gail.
We just ended committee. They're just coming in.
Okay, very good. Oh, there we go, Kate. Yep.
It was my fault. I asked a lot of questions in policy.
Are we still waiting on Gail?
She'll be right there. It was my fault. I helped everybody up, so she has to
Understood.
click the next link. Are you going to stand and say pledge alone?
On the mid-month meeting. I mean, we could do it if you'd like to. I'm always happy to say the pledge, but
I locked myself in a closet for this meeting. It's a nice closet.
Yeah, you're going to need an exit strategy.
I have no exit strategy for me. There's a window. Right there.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. First board meeting I'm sitting on the floor for. Well, my husband claims the office for tonight because he's got stuff on Thursday nights also. So
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. With that, I will call the April 16th, 2020 school board meeting to order. I would like to say tonight's meeting is a teleconference with a live cast of the meeting being made available to the community. And I would like all of the members to please mute your mic and then unmute your mic if you would like to speak. I will ask for questions multiple times, as I understand there was some issues last time, and a roll call will be taken for every vote. All right. With that, Member Clerk, could you please take a roll call?
Member Corcoran?
Member Corcoran's absent.
Okay, I just can't see everybody. I was giving her a minute. Thank you. Member Ketto?
Here.
Member Ketto is here. Member Olson?
Here.
Member Olson is here. Member Rayfield?
Present.
Member Rayfield is present. Member Tyson?
Here.
Member Tyson is present. Member Peterson?
Here.
Member Peterson is present, and Member Luthner is present.
All right, moving on to agenda item number 3, the COVID-19 update, Dr. Massey.
All right. Thank you, Chairman Peterson. I am going to actually cast my screen and if I'm able to do that, there we go. Are you able to see my display?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to take a moment and give you an update on our COVID-19 response and distance learning in particular. But rather than getting into the detail as I've done in previous meetings with directors' help on their areas, I'm going to give you a little bit of a different view into distance learning, largely sharing some survey results. We gave a survey to parents and a survey to students. I wanted to share some of those results so you can get inside how this experience is going for families as well as for students. This was shared with me this week from a parent. House rule number 2, do you go in the refrigerator at school? No. So use your school stomach. So things are changing at home. And learning is different, and families, as we know, are interacting with distance learning while they're supporting their own child in learning, but also, of course, many of them are also working from home. So we know that this is a real challenge for families. A local print shop, Forest Lake Printing, is making available class of 2020, We Love Our Seniors yard signs, and I think they are over 150, maybe 175 of those out into the community. Some of the funds from the sale of those will be going to a couple of scholarships for seniors. Every Monday night at 8:31, we turn on the lights on Ranger Stadium, the softball field, and Schumacher baseball field for 20 minutes in honor of our seniors and our students at our home. A sign was recently made at the middle school. Our students may not be here, but they're still here, and just a nice sign, a tribute to our kids, and a couple of pictures on the bottom right hand of some of our students. I think these are Columbus students learning at home and distance learning. So you can see things are really busy on the home front. A quick update on our meal program. This week, Tuesday, we served 1,267 meals through the Wyoming Linwood, Lino Lakes, Forest View Elementary, and the high school. Wednesday, 689 meals, and today, 671 meals. We do allow families to pick up more than one day's worth of meals, so you can see some of the fluctuation based on that in order to have families not make multiple trips to the schools. As you know, we're providing child care for parents who work in what is the state considers Tier 1 fields which is critical service areas. And we serve 19 students at Forest View today and 17 at Wyoming. As I mentioned, Renee Reedy, our communications coordinator, is put out a survey to our families and parent and students. I'll show you student responses first. I'm going to highlight just 6 or 7 slides from the survey. We had 104 responses from students, and these were based on the fact that we were surveying students in grades 7 through 12. I would describe my participation in distance learning to be, and you can see here, highly dedicated, trying hard, somewhat dedicated, not trying. I'm encouraged by almost 99% of our students giving either somewhat of an effort, if not highly dedicated to their effort. I would describe my participation in distance learning to be, that might be a duplicate, sorry about that. In general, the instruction I'm receiving via distance learning has been excellent, and you can see the blue area there, almost 12%. Good, 53%. Fair, 30%. I would consider the blue, the red, and the gold to be encouraging that kids are giving somewhat of a favorable, if not a highly favorable, response to the quality of the program that they're receiving and the instruction they're receiving. In general, the difficulty of work I'm asked to complete has been too difficult, blue, just right. So almost 73% of our students, 3/4 almost, are saying it's just right. Where just over 25% are saying too difficult. As expected, not too many kids are saying it's too easy, step it up. So, but overall, with that level of response, I think we're hitting a really good spot with our kids, and we'll take this feedback, and there are some comments that came with these to continue to adjust and monitor or adjust what we're putting out there for kids. Which statement best describes your distance learning technology issues? We're paying really close attention to kids that have access, kids that don't. So in blue, I have not had technology issues. Over half of our students in grades 7 through 12 have no issues with technology. And then 34%, I have had technology issues that are now fixed. So 87.5% or so are humming along at a good rate with technology. The 11%, and they're giving us some feedback, and we were able to track who those kids are. So counselors and deans and technology support staff are reaching out to those students and helping them gain access so that they can be digitally engaged in their distance learning. We received a $5,000 grant from TEFLA that we're using supporting Rangers to provide technology, internet access for our students. All of our students are able to pick up a Chromebook from school, so having a device isn't the issue. The issue is having internet access. Given the remote areas of our district, internet is not all that reliable in some corners of our district. So we are coaching and counseling kids and families to move toward unlimited data with their cell phone, if that's possible. And then the funds with Rangers supporting Rangers are helping cover the cost of that increased data plan through their cell phone. If an high-speed internet connection is possible, we're coaching them on how to gain access there and working with the company providers in their area. And then we have funds to help them with that increased cost. We also, through T-Mobile, and Tim Brockman was instrumental in helping facilitate this, we picked up 15 hotspots with some technology funds that we had available in the district. So some kids are actually picking up hotspots so that they can have access. Our goal is to have this slide show 100% of our kids not having technology or internet access issues. Which statement best describes your adjustments to distance learning? Well over half, I'm doing well. And then just over 45 or 45%, I'm struggling with adjustments to distance learning, working from home, etc. But overall, I'm getting by. We're continually contacting kids, having communication with kids when they share that they're struggling with the learning, the mode of learning and instruction, access issues. We are committed to responding to every challenge and every question the student has. So far, I think distance learning has been excellent, and you can see that number, good and fair. So from a student standpoint, I would consider excellent, good, and fair to be favorable to somewhat favorable responses. On the parent side, we had 1,630 responses, and you can see from this grid, while the percent isn't listed for all those, you can see the distribution from the grades. If I was able to, this is a hard slide, so I'm not able to click on that arrow to get to the next display of grade level, but you can see the fairly equal distribution of grade levels of the parents who responded to the survey. In general, the amount of work my child has been assigned to complete has been too much in blue, just right, over 70%. I'm really encouraged by that response, that almost 3/4 of our families are responding that what they're experiencing from their child's teacher is just right and working well. Some parents want their kids to work harder. You can see that in the gold. So again, we're getting responses and teachers are able to, and principals are able to respond to families based on what we're receiving in this feedback. In general, I would describe my child's participation in distance learning to be highly dedicated. Over 50% kids are working hard, somewhat dedicated. So here we're at 95% of our kids, based on their parents' perspective, are engaged, working hard, and in some cases, highly dedicated. Not dedicated, not trying, that's a concern, that number there, 4 or 5%. Again, with the comments that we're receiving and reaching out, we're able to identify who those kids are and support them through the process. The instruction my child is receiving via distance learning has been excellent and good. You can see the level of response there, almost 3/4, just over 3/4 of those families. Excellent to good. And again, the 24% we're reaching out to and continuing to adjust and monitor what we do. The amount of work my child has been assigned to complete has been over 70% saying just right again. That's really encouraging. The difficulty of the work my child is asked to complete has been too difficult. There's roughly 20% of the families saying too difficult, too easy, or not sure, but just right. Almost 80% of our families are saying the level of work, the challenge of the work has been just right. That's really encouraging. In regards to our communication, teachers' communication, principals' communication, district-wide communication, almost 1,500 of the families are saying that the communication is working well and just right. So district level to communication from the school and then child's teacher, that's a really high level of communication. We are seeing some response that there's too much communication, and I can understand that. If you think about a child who's got 7 teachers and the superintendent sending messages and the principal sending messages, in any given week, if not any given day, there could be 5, 6, 7 different messages coming across. So we're monitoring that and paying attention to that and trying to adjust as we move forward. This is another picture of how well families feel things are going in terms of distance learning, with over 53% saying they're doing well, and then almost 45% adding to that saying yeah, we're struggling with adjustments to distance learning, as should be expected and can be expected, working at home, etc. But overall, we're getting by. And then a small percentage saying they're struggling. And again, we're reaching out to those families. This is encouraging as well, with almost 3/4 of our families saying that, or over 3/4 of our families saying that the distance learning has been excellent to good. Overall, I think we are off to a great start in our first 3 weeks. We know that we're in distance learning for at least another 2.5 weeks to the end of April. If this gets extended, and I think there's some indications that this distance learning period may be extended, we're off to a phenomenal start, and I anticipate that we'll continue to hone in and fine-tune what we're doing to meet the needs of our kids. So with that, I would take any questions that the board would have.
Does anybody have any questions?
I have a quick question. I'm more speaking to the K-6 because that's what I have most experience with. So other people asking me questions and my own. I'd like to see some more growth on what teachers are putting out rather than waiting for kids to ask them. I know that they were saying just ask your teacher, they're there. But with phones not being direct, is really difficult for a younger kid to talk to a teacher. And you get pretty dependent on doing a Zoom meeting or something. But I've noticed in the past 3 days, teachers putting together a video and sending it out to the kids and the parents and say, this is for these lessons, or here's a story. And I appreciate that. And I hope that that's happening across the district, that we started off and everyone was like, okay, this is the very beginning. But as we get into week 3 and looking at week 4 and maybe 5 and 6 and 7, just not a perpetual climb the mountain, but just can we get to one level higher? Because pretty soon the expectations of like they ran out of stuff that they knew and now they're learning brand new material, and it's very hard to teach without an academic rigor style lesson.
Yeah, that'll be a real challenge for us, and we're anticipating that, and we know that is really the crossroad of the difficulty with what we're doing, is how do we advance learning in the distance learning capacity. But Director Georgie and her team is putting on regular workshops and trainings for staff to learn different ways to present lessons. Diane, do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, of course, if we had been able to see this coming, we would have been able to plan a little bit more, even with that technology support. It's been quite a while since we have had technology integration support, especially at the elementary level. So those who have a comfort level with technology in K-6 have jumped in pretty quickly with some of that. Others are starting to become more comfortable. Our media innovation specialists are really working hard to try to support our educators. Our instructional coaches have been working on providing support in PD around not only their areas of expertise, the literacy and math, but also in technology tools that can help support the learning with those areas. So it's more of a challenge for some of our educators than others, just depending on their current level of comfort with technology. I think these first few weeks was really a bit of a whirlwind for everyone, just trying to figure out how they can get this going. There was a little bit of a feeling of don't tell me one more thing just yet, but we're hopeful now that they've gotten a few weeks under their belt, that as we start offering more of these little mini PD sessions, either live sessions through Google Meet or Zoom, where they can actually have a chance to ask questions of each other and share ideas, or in some cases, the coaches are putting together little mini sessions that are 15-minute snippet of how to do this or how to do that will start to really build the capacity. I anticipate that all of our educators will become much better versed in those technology tools as we go along, and probably much bigger users of it even in the future as we go back to brick and mortar schooling. So that's a really good point, though, Kate, that has been a learning curve for all of our educators, and I think especially at the elementary schools for many of them. So we're making progress and trying to help support them as they move forward.
And then I have one other logistics question. All the paper copies that are paper packets, who is actually doing that work? Is it teachers or paras? I'm asking, are we pulling people out of their home zones and asking them to come into the buildings? And like, who's doing that exactly?
Yeah, teachers are needing to access files sometimes in their classroom, and we permit that. We are strict that they're exercising all the safety precautions that we've been guided through the CDC and the Minnesota Department of Health. We also have paras that are on payroll that have been instrumental and extremely valuable in helping make copies, put things in folders that families can pick up. There's no way to effectively do distance learning for some families, and especially at the younger grades, without them picking up paper copies. We don't want to give them 8 weeks of work. It needs to be responsive, and it needs to evolve and shape as kids move forward. So that is a weekly process.
Okay, and we're not as hot as many other places in the country, but if we're being with the abundance of caution, if anything got worse here and people you really should not leave your building, just making sure we have the belt and suspender system, that if we're not just depending on a classroom teacher, they can say, please print my stuff and put it out.
Yeah, we'll respond as we need to. The paper copies are actually brought to the car when families come in. They're not coming into the school. So we have a way in which they come up to the school. We identify who's there. We go in and get their materials, and we bring them to those families, trying to really limit the number of people that are coming into the school.
Right.
So I had a question, Member Chair, if I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Member Olson and I got to hear some of this in the committee tonight, which was wonderful to hear. There's no doubt enormous challenges with all of this, and I can't believe we're on like week 2, and I'm just hearing so many positive things. But one thing that was said by Mr. Ward was that the fruits of teachers' labors working in their PLCs is really paying off at this time. So what does it look like, Diane? Do they have time to meet on the phone, or are you scheduling meetings, or are they able to pull their colleagues together with questions, or how is that working? Because I think that's so important.
Yeah, and when he made that comment, I was thinking that is so true. Normally, they have these professional learning community meetings scheduled because, of course, they're with students most of their day, all day long. So they need to have set times that they're going to make an effort to be together. Right now, they are all working collaboratively, supporting each other in what does this look like and how do we make this work. They truly are coordinating their own PLCs almost daily, and in many cases hourly, where from the beginning of the day till the end of the day, they'll find moments where they can connect together to be able to do the planning for the next lesson or the next stage of what they're working on, in between when they're connecting with students and providing support for them. It has almost become more of, when we first went into professional learning communities and we scheduled time, we kept hearing this definition of professional learning community as really it should be ongoing all the time. We should always be in our professional learning community. That's what it's becoming. Everybody has really become reliant on each other and sharing information on an ongoing basis to be able to get better together. So that has been very exciting. I think our departments, our grade level teams, our even cross grade level teams, and interdisciplinary teams at the secondary have become very adept in a very short time at supporting each other with resources and ideas and planning. So that's been a very exciting piece of this.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
I have one more for Steve. If it kind of swings back to a different topic, but I'm wondering what you and our director's input is on ESY or having summer school if we're able. I mean, we know some kids are going to have decline in skill, and I mean, they're talking about that on a national level in math. If we're able to have summer school, are we going to go ahead and do that, or would we expect a robust number or a low number due to the COVID? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
That's a good question. First of all, we are in full planning mode for summer school, ESY. So Kelly Lafine leads that program, and she is moving forward as if we are going to run summer school. We're not sure if that's going to be feasible or permitted. So when we get to that point in time, we'll either be able to run or not run. And if not, then we'll have to consider whether or not there would be resources provided by the state to use the same kind of program in a distance learning capacity. I'm not sure that would be the best way to provide remedial or catch-up kind of education. But again, we'll consider that at the time. If we can't, then we will also then have conversation around what does the start of next year look like? Are we taking a few weeks, a couple weeks to reground ourselves? And we'll certainly need to assess where kids are at and not just assume that things were business as usual and they made typical progress. We'll need to assess that and adjust what we do at the start of next year to meet kids where they're at.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Does anybody else have any questions? Member Luthner?
Sorry, I just unmuted myself by accident. I'm trying to re-camera myself.
Understood.
No questions.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing nothing, let's move on to approving the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve 4.1 through 4.3.
So moved.
Second.
So a motion and a second. Discussion. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I would like to take the opportunity to recognize Julie Greiman for her 33 years of service. Her retirement is in tonight's agenda, and she's done a phenomenal job out there at Scandia, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to recognize her. Is there any other discussion? Member Tyson, I saw your hand go up.
Thank you, Jeff. No, just recognizing Julie and all the outstanding work she did with Scandia Elementary becoming IB, Scandia IB World. I mean, her work was just outstanding, and the dedication was intense because we just had to keep up on that, and she never lost sight of that goal. So I hope she has a wonderful retirement. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I'd like to make one comment. Congratulations to Lori. I think she will do a fantastic job at Wyoming Elementary.
Thank you, Member Olson. Any other discussion?
Member Chair, I'll jump on once you take a vote on those items.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing nothing, Member Clerk, would you please take a roll call?
Member Ketto?
Aye.
Member Ketto votes aye. Member Olson?
Aye.
Member Olson votes aye. Member Rayfield?
Aye.
Member Rayfield votes aye. Member Tyson?
Aye.
Member Tyson votes aye. Member Peterson?
Aye.
Member Peterson votes aye. Member Luthner votes aye. And Member Corcoran is absent.
All right. With that, the motion passes. Dr. Massey.
Thank you. And with that vote, you have accepted the resignation of Principal Griman, and I concur with everything that was said. She has been one phenomenal leader for us. It'll be very big shoes to fill. We've all learned from Julie along the years, and she has positioned the school in such a phenomenal way that the next principal will be inheriting a school that's in just phenomenal shape. So along with the comment shared, I wish her the absolute best in her retirement. Along with the vote you just took, you approved the hiring of Lori Chelgren as the next principal at Wyoming Elementary. We held screening interviews with 16 candidates. From this group, 8 candidates were included in 2 one-hour interviews with a teacher, staff, parent team, and an administrative team. This is all per school board policy. And we then held on Monday morning an extensive interview with Lori and the directors and myself. Lori is a highly regarded educator and leader. She earned her BA degree in elementary education from St. Catherine's University in St. Paul, her MA degree in education from St. Mary's University in Minneapolis, and her reading license and administrative license from Hamline University. Lori has extensive classroom experience and student intervention teaching experience, serving students in first grade through 6th grade, mostly, if not largely, in the Forest Lake School District. And Lori is currently serving as the Director of Targeted Services, not as director, but as coordinator of Targeted Services in Title I. I'd like to thank the Wyoming teacher, staff, and parent team for their long day of interview with us. And we are extremely excited to have Lori serve in this important role. Congratulations, Lori, and welcome. Unmute your mic and say a couple things, would you please?
Absolutely. Well, good evening, and it's great to see you all virtually. I cannot thank Dr. Massey enough for that warm welcome. I am officially a Wyoming Wildcat. It feels incredible. I am absolutely honored to accept the position of principal at Wyoming. I want to thank you as board members for your approval. I, too, also want to thank Dr. Massey, all the directors, administrators, teachers, and parents who participated in the interview process, specifically for time, effort, and energy. A little bit about myself. I have 2 kids in the district. Delaney, my daughter, is a 9th grader at the high school. I have a 6th grader named Jack at Columbus Elementary. My husband, Chad, is the lead custodian at Columbus Elementary and has been in the district for 24 years. I have other family members that have also been in the district. I am looking forward to building relationships with students and staffs and families at Wyoming, strengthening school culture, and being an instructional leader for teachers, all in an effort to increase student achievement. And then, of course, sharing all of this. Well, thank you so much, and I am incredibly honored and excited.
I had asked Lori earlier if she was still floating on a cloud when I got to congratulate her.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am definitely on cloud 9.
Well, you are a homegrown district person, and I'm so thrilled for you. So congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This is my 17th year in the district, and like Steve said, I've taught all grade levels, K through 6. I was a reading recovery teacher. I was the district's literacy and math intervention specialist working at all the Title I buildings. My current position, working closely with Kelly Lafine and overseeing after-school programming and acting as summer school administrator. I am very blessed.
Well, I would like to say we're excited in Wyoming to have a new principal coming in next year. So Principal Shelgren, welcome.
That means the world. Thank you, Jeff.
Does anybody else have any comments? Any other comments? All right. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
We will move on to item number 5, action items. Adopt a resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of probationary teachers. This is a standard annual event in April, and I would entertain a motion for the resolution.
Move to approve.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Dr. Maston, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, again, this is routine action for us. It's part of our staffing work that we began in January and work every Tuesday, if not other days throughout that time period, preparing for meeting the staffing needs going into the next budget. So this is all part of our budget work and working within the budget parameters that we're facing moving into the next year.
All right. Well, with that, Member Clerk, would you please take a roll call?
Member Olson.
Aye.
Member Olson votes aye. Member Raphael.
Aye.
Member Raphael votes aye. Member Tyson.
Aye.
Member Tyson votes aye. Member Peterson.
Aye.
Member Peterson votes aye. Member Luthner votes aye. Member Corcoran is absent, and Member Ketto.
Aye.
Okay.
All right. Motion passes. Thank you, Member Luthner. Seeing nothing under the discussion items, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So
moved. Second.
Motion
Second.
And a second. All those in favor of adjournment signify by aye.
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 Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
You as well. Thanks, Jeff. Great job.
I missed your faces.